Hi, my name's Tricia, and today I want to talk about counseling myths. A lot of times when we find ourselves struggling in life and someone suggests you should go to counseling, there's a lot of misconceptions that can make counseling feel really daunting and overwhelming. A common one I hear is, if I go to counseling, does that mean I'm so messed up? Or does that mean that I'm so crazy? And the short of the answer is yes. I think all of humans are hurting, and counseling is just this acknowledgement that I am struggling and I'm going to admit that I'm struggling and that I need someone to help me get out of this pit I found myself in. That doesn't mean that I'm crazy or that I'm beyond repair. It just means I'm a human and humans struggle. And I think it's important for every human to acknowledge the reality, which is that we have difficulties in our lives that overwhelm our capacities to process them without help. Another question I find individuals ask before they start counseling is wondering, does counseling actually help? Does it actually work? And what I'll say is this. Research shows that when we begin to engage in any type of healing activity, other areas of our lives begin to improve. So whether or not your counselor's amazing or just mediocre, you taking the time and spending the money on yourself will actually benefit other areas of your life. I feel like it's similar to times when we're really intentional about working out. We like to eat better too. Like, there just is this positive trajectory for healing that happens when we decide we want to pursue counseling, because it's really just saying, I want to take my own health into my own hands and I want to begin to be intentional to heal and to have a beautiful life rather than to just be tossed around by the waves that my life brings me. Another misconception about counseling is that people believe they're the only one struggling or the only one pursuing counseling services. And I just want to say right now, you'd be surprised by how many individuals, especially teens, are in counseling services right now, are pursuing counseling at this time. I definitely have experiences where I see a ton of teens from the same school and none of them know that their peers and classmates are also pursuing services. So I think you'd be surprised by learning how many individuals are taking their mental health really seriously. And if you had courage, I think, for you to talk about it with your friends, with your community, in an open and honest way, you'd probably be blessed to hear that other individuals have tried counseling or just other things to help their mental health. Another thing that I find is often a fear or struggle within pursuing counseling is really wondering, is my therapist trustworthy? Are they scary? Are they just going to be telling me everything that I'm doing wrong? I have so many teens come into my office feeling really fearful that I'm just going to be telling them, that's not right, you should do it this way, I know exactly how you should live. And counseling actually isn't designed to be that way. Counselors, at their best, are just creating space for you to learn who you are and who you want to become, and to give you the support to do exactly that. I have so many teens who say, I want to do this in my future, or I want to be like this one day. And we kind of talk about, how do we begin to create the structure to get to that dream? And that really is what counselors are. It are people who are just your advocates, who want to be your cheerleader on the sidelines, cheering you on as you pursue this game of life and try to win in multiple areas of your life. So I find that so many of the clients and teens that I work with are pleasantly surprised to see that they experience a counselor as just someone who wants to be authentically supportive and kind, and to be someone who can really listen and provide insight that others aren't able to do. It's not going to be a time of being told that you're bad or wrong or doing things wrongly. It's more going to be a time for you to talk about the hard things in your life and receive healing for them. Another thing that I find to be a big barrier to pursue counseling is the question of how long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? What am I really getting myself into? And the important thing to remember is that seeking out counseling for the first time doesn't make it this life sentence or this life commitment to being in therapy for the rest of your life. I have plenty of people that I've seen for just a handful of sessions who just need a little bit of support to get back on their feet. So it doesn't have to be something that you plan on attending weekly for the next 10 years. That's not the case for most people. The other piece is, of course, finances. I think that a lot of times there's a huge financial barrier to pursue mental health treatment. And I just want to say that there's so many services out there for you that you can pursue that will help you to get counseling services at a reduced cost, sometimes even for free. It really depends on the organization that you're pursuing and things like that. If finances feel like a really big barrier, I just want to say that it's possible to find a quality therapist at a discounted rate. Whether you go through your insurance, which can be a really big benefit for some individuals, or you find a therapist who's willing to do a sliding scale based on your income. There are a ton of options that you can pursue that are affordable and won't break the bank. I think another question that I see come up, especially for young people who want to pursue counseling services, is that depending on your state that you're located in, some teens and some individuals as young as 12 can actually pursue mental health services without parental consent. So it's not something that you have to let mom and dad in on if you don't feel comfortable doing so, depending on the state that you reside in. Knowing the answer to that question obviously varies from state to state, but I think that parents don't necessarily have to be involved if it's something that you're very concerned with but want to pursue counseling regardless. Those are the big kind of myths and barriers to counseling that I find come up a lot in my practice that I wanted to share and kind of explain in a new way. So I hope you learned something about counseling. Thanks for listening.